Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the Machamp with the buffed move Cross Chop, and honestly I have to say this might be my favorite Pokemon for the Go Battle League, for the Great League at least. It was already, like, back in the day, one of my favorite Pokemon to use, and it's even better, and it's like so much fun to play this Pokemon. We're going to see immediately kind of what it can do, especially in the current meta. I feel like a long time ago, like, this Pokemon was not really that great. Main reason for this was also that the meta was basically a Machamp on every team. Machamp is gone. One of the biggest answers to Machamp is gone with this. Of course, we're going to have now Annihilate, which kind of does similar things, as we know already, of course, from the matchup against Vigoroth. It's kind of similar here. You're going to have the counter as well as Crusher, which would be double resisted, plus the Rockset being single resisted against the Annihilate, so you're still going to have a hard answer as a fighter in this meta, but it's not as common as Machamp ever was, and so we saw already in the first game here, Machamp did a huge amount of damage, but here also we're going to easily be able to win this first game. Honestly, this team was amazing. I don't think I would swap anything for it. Yes, we're going to have some very bulky Pokemon here with Cresselia as well as LilyNiRiain. This was the main reason why I didn't want to run LilyNiRiain in the team early on today, which I would recommend you still to do over the Charger Bug, because I know I already had this team in mind that I really wanted to play. And for sure, like, this team is amazing. It's like so strong. Basically, you're going to have in the lead a Pokemon with the Cresselia that can basically bait out most of the fighting type Pokemon when you swap out into the LilyNiRiain, because no fighting type Pokemon wants to battle against the Cresselia. And LilyNiRiain going to be able to still have coverage against most Pokemon that are fighting type right now, with like the Polyrath having the Power Whip, which you see here right now. For the Galate, which is now back in the meta as well, or like first time in the meta, you're going to have still Lick, which is going to add up over time. You're most likely going to be able to realign in the two-shield scenario. And for the Annihilate, you also still have super effective Lick, and you can still hit it pretty hard with the neutral Power Whip. So LilyNiRiain is the perfect glue for this team. And then you're going to have on the back the Machamp, which we don't want to face as Pokemon, but what we see here are Pokemon that Machamp wants to face, and one of them is going to be, of course, here the opponent Skarmory, as he can hit this rock slide, do a ton of damage. Now we just have to go for one grass knot and we win. And with 2 shields left, we didn't even have to use any shield here in this game and really can move on to the next one. This team was absolutely amazing. Here's one reason why you kind of maybe want to run Future Sight. Future Sight is just better for the Gligar matchup. Against the Shadow Gligar, still most likely would recommend you to go for the Grass Knot instead, because 2 Grass Knots are basically just barely enough to knock them all the way out. But here we're gonna go for the Future Sight against the opponent's Gligar. My voice is still cracking a little bit, so sorry about this, but we will see already we're gonna do a lot of damage and resolve out of here, because we kind of need to keep our lead alive for potential Flying type Pokemon in the back. But we don't see one. We're going to see here a Lantern, which is actually going to be okay for us. But basically, after you land one Future Sight onto the opponent's Gligar, with one shield, you can just counter them down. Like, this is like the cool thing about Machamp. The counter damage is just adding up so fast. And so here we're going to get the opponent's Lantern pretty low. I don't think it's in 5 counter range, so I didn't really want to risk it. I know that I went for 1 extra fast move here, so I can go for 4 fast moves myself. I can still get to my Grass Knot with that 1 turn before the opponent gets to their own serve, and so I can get the knockout pretty easily here, and we can see what they're going to have in the back. It is going to be the Umbreon, and so this is going to be game, as you can see here already. I can go for a Cross Chop, allowing me to force a shield from the opponent as well, and so they're going to let this move go through, and they're just going to forfeit. A lot of people just don't really expect like the raw power of counter plus Cross Chop, which is really cool. A little bit of a core breaker for this team as a Pokemon that surprisingly was more common than I expected, which is going to be the Talonflame. I was thinking that Talonflame would get even less play nowadays because Feraligatr, because I guess Empoleon is kind of neutral still, but they're still going to generate energy a little bit faster and going to be another water type for the meta. So I was curious. Here the opponent makes a great call as well for not going for Fly. I was expecting Fly, and so they did way more damage than expected against the LilyNiRiain. Great play by them for sure. But yeah, basically, I have one option of still winning this game, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I have to let this move go through. I have to keep my shields for my Machamp, but it's going to be a tough one. I still have to reach the Future Sight, which I'm going to be able to do, and now I have to hope that they're going to be weak against me in the back. My only hope here is that I can go for the full farm down, before I have to use both of my shields, but I'm fairly certain that they're going to have enough energy to force my other shield as well, and this is exactly what's going to happen now. But at least I will get out of this matchup with quite a lot of energy, but they're going to have a Gallade in the back, we're just getting hard-walled. Here, I could have went for my charge move, one fast move earlier, but it doesn't matter, I would have not knocked them out anyway, as it was a resisted move. Honestly, if it was anything other than the Gallade in the back, I think we still had a really decent chance, but it is what it is. He was a little bit slow against the opponent's Lickitung, so safe play for you is just go ahead, use one shield and go up to 2 cross chops, because now you can either force switch alignment, like switch advantage here basically, or you're going to be able to get both shields from the opponent. And so yeah, basically, yeah, we're now on shield down, but we're going to be able to get the shield back anyway, because Machamp is just doing so much raw power, it does not really matter what the opponent swaps into. Here Gligar is going to get the damage actually still from counter in, which is really cool for us as well, but also was forced to use a shield. We're going to see them going for a dig. I expect them to swap out eventually, and so I can align my Cresselia against the opponent's Poliwrath, which is going to be amazing. As we will see here, Future Sight would knock them out. I actually wanted to go purposely for the CMP type because I want to get rid of the Poliwrath. I'm a little bit scared about Poliwrath in like 2-shield scenario, like when they use their shield, but they didn't. And so now I can just go for a Grass Knot, and the opponent cannot do anything. Like, Dig doesn't knock me out, Aerial of course doesn't knock me out, they're still going to be forced to go for a charge move. I have a move stored on my Lickitung, I have my Grass Knot here, which is going to get the final shield of the opponent. Like, what are they wanting to do here? Honestly, I can let this move go through. I can just go for one Power Whip, which is going to do a little bit more damage here compared to the Body Slam, and this should put them into lick down range. So this is going to be a very good game, and we can move on to the next opponent. Moving on, Annihilate Bleed. This is going to be something that's actually interesting because I played a little bit differently than you might really want to. Here I go for a little bit earlier because like you can still have Moonblast, and I think you get to Moonblast one turn or like one fast move earlier compared to Future Sight. But I decide to catch a move here, which is going to be the Shadow Ball, which is amazing. This is a little bit risky, but I'm fairly certain that even though this is not a great matchup laid on for the Machamp, I still think a Rock Slide would put them basically down there. Like, Annihilate is not a bulky Pokemon. Rock Slide is still going to hurt them quite a bit, so I'm not really too worried about this matchup. Like, that's the difference basically between Annihilate as well as the Medicham. While Annihilate does kind of the same as Medicham, you're still going to do more damage just because it's way squishier than the Medicham, which is going to be way better for us. Here you see me swapping out as well. I knew that they're still going to be switch locked for a little bit, and as said before, as long as I'm gonna get rid of the final shield, which I should be able to do so, or get a knockout, I still should be kinda fine. We're gonna see here, they're going to let this move go through, and they're going to have a Shadow Zapdos in the back. Interesting Pokemon, but yeah, honestly, I kinda underestimated the damage output of this Pokemon. I did not expect that they would get me that low. I decided to go for the bait here, unnecessary because I don't get to another move, so I should have went for the Future Sight instead. It doesn't really matter, but what you're gonna see me do now is I am gonna go for 4 fast moves and then swap. For the opponent, this is the only way to go, because if they go for one extra one, they would risk a CMP tie, and of course I still have a shield left, and so at this point I knew they would be throwing at 4, and so I was able to catch, and here I'm just gonna go for the unnecessary Rock Slide because I know I can, and so we can easily win this game here as well. Honestly, the current meta is like so great for the Machamp. What is not so great is going to be the Girafarig here, which is actually a core breaker for my backline. It's kind of okay for our lead, it's still not really ideal for our lead, but it literally resists the fast move of Lickitung, which is going to be a little bit annoying, and does super effective damage against our Machamp, which is even worse. And so here you see me shielding up a move. I was too scared of the Thunderbolt, I have to say. I was like, Thunderbolt is going to do quite a lot of damage, and so I want to use a shield. In hindsight, completely silly, like I should have not done this at all, but Grass Knot is still going to chunk quite a bit. Grass Knot is always like a move that I underestimate. I always think it's like a weak move, but it's a very strong move, as you can see here as well. And the opponent makes a really weird misplay, and so we can easily win the game as the opponent decides to forfeit. Here we're going to encounter the matchup against the Shadow Gligar, and here we're going to try to go for 2 Grass Knots, because Grass Knot is going to be a little bit more stable, I would say. Like, you could argue for going straight for the Future Sight. I decided to use a shield, by the way, because it's guaranteed a dig for the first move. They never go for Aerial Ace, because it does not make sense to go for Aerial Ace at the 0-shit scenario, because their dig is just such a better move, and yeah, it's just way better for them to go for it. As you can see here, we were able to get the damage onto them and the shield back as well. well. As they're going to go for another dig, I can reach another Grass Knot in time. And if they're going to let this move go through, it's going to be great for us, and they do. And so we're going to try to swap out. It's going to be the Feraligatr, which is going to be okay, as you can double resist the fast move, forcing them to swap out eventually as well. Hydro Cannon going to connect, but they're going to swap out into the Dragonair. And here's the thing as well with this Pokemon. Dragonair is not going to appreciate the body slam. It's going to do way more damage than expected as well. And I reach another one before they even go for the charge move, which is great, because now we are not in range for the Feraligatr to farm us down. The double resisted fast move is not going to do any damage, and so they're forced to throw. But here is again where Machamp is just so fun. You have a Feraligatr, which is now going to be everywhere, but look at the damage just the fast move is doing here. It's absolutely mad. We can just farm down, we can move on to the next opponent. Core Breaker alert here with the Giratina Origin. We decided to swap out immediately into actually our hard counter of Lickitung. I don't know if this is the smartest idea ever, but for me, what I thought was, okay, if I go into my Lickitung and I get hard wall, okay, it's going to be game over anyway. But I kinda need to just get energy on my Pokemon, because I can bait a potential Moonblast on my lead, but also Rock Slide should still hurt the Giratina Origin quite a bit. So I would imagine that this was the best play that I could have done for, and you see already I was able to get a shield advantage, which is really important, and they decided to swap out. And so I decided to swap out as well, a little bit too late most likely, into my own Machamp, because I feel like I should be able to outspeed them here. They're going to have, of course, Shadow Claw, but I still have a shield advantage thanks to the matchup against the Dugong. And so I can reach for the Rock Slide here, connect, and do a ton of damage. And you're going to see me as well using a shield, because I think I can just counter down this Ghost type. And this is like the cool thing here, but the opponent actually gets a boost with the Omnious Wind. Doesn't matter, I can still reach another charge move here. But of course, it's going to be like a little bit lower now for the Machamp, which still actually doesn't matter, because he's still barely survived with 1 HP against the opponent's Feraligatr. And so I can just go into my Lickitung, go for the Power Whip, and this is going to be a very good game. Goodbye there, and we can move on to the next one. Second to last game for today, we're going to have another Annihilate in the lead. We can try to catch another Shadow Ball from the opponent, which would be really cool for us. I decided to use a shield here against the opponent. Let's see if they're going to run Night Slash. They do decide to run Night Slash here as well, which can be a little bit tricky. But I can still try to catch a Shadow Ball, because I know the counts for 1 and they're going to get to it again. And so I was able to catch a move here. As long as it's not going to be Night Slash that boost, we're going to be fine here. And it's going to be, of course, a Night Slash that is going to boost. And this is going to impact like the matchup completely. This completely shifts everything. I would have been able to just farm them down here, or like go for a Body Slam, then farm them down against the Annihilate, and I would have been fine. I would have either got a shield advantage, I would have been able to get switch advantage. But no, because of the 12.5 chance there, it is going to be a completely different game. And this is something that we're going to suffer off as well now, as I can go for a future side. But again, we would have been in such a way better spot otherwise. And so, at this point, it's basically game over. Like, what are we supposed to do here? Flame Charge coming through, I can still swap out, but I can still get rid, basically, of my final shield, because they can just outspeed me here as well. Fly is coming through, they can swap out, it's going to be their Feraligatr. I can still at least try to go for the CMP type, which just work out as well for us, but again, like, this game literally came down to the 12.5% chance of the opponent boosting, which is not really great for us, and this is going to be sadly a loss because of this. And it's kind of annoying, like, this is always kind of something that, of course, chances are there for a reason, but yeah, the game would have been a different one without the 12.5% chance. Final game for today, we're going to have the Machamp in the lead, a normal Machamp, and honestly, why do they go straight for the cross chop? I kind of want to take a look at Machamp again later on as well, maybe with the move Payback on it, because I feel like it would have a lot of potential against Pokemon like the Annihilate if they gonna allow me to go for a charge move, because I know that everything is going to be resisted. I think that maybe something like the Payback actually has the potential to knock them out, which would be really cool. But what we have to see here as well is that we're going to be able to go for another charge move. The opponent is going to actually shield this move up, which is kind of funny. And so I should be able to just farm them all the way down, which is going to be great. As the Sky Attack is coming through, we're going to be able to go for the full farm down, have now move stored. I decided to go for the cross chop. Was a little bit of a silly play, but it is going to be better for us, as they're going to have a Dragonair. If I didn't go straight for a move, like, I would have died immediately from one Dragon Breath, so it was definitely the right call to do. But now we can easily just finish up this game. The opponent goes for a Body Slam. They're going to have them a champ. One future side is all it takes. And so this is going to be it for this video. This team was amazing. I would highly recommend you to try it out. Most likely my favorite team. Machamp is like so good right now, so definitely try this Pokemon again. And yeah, that's concluded for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.